My name is Amy Bond, founder of Pole and Dance Studios. You are listening to Up the Pole podcast, where I interview studio owners to discuss all things building a pole dance studio business. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy the show. All right, you guys, welcome to Up the Pole podcast. My name is Amy Bond, your host, and I am talking to the one and only Natalya Nightshade today. Natalya is based in Tampa, Florida. She describes herself as a pole professional extraordinaire, CEO, producer, performer, instructor. So many hyphenates. She has 17 years of dance experience spanning ballet, strip club work, and pole studios. She travels nationally and internationally teaching workshops and intensives and has been featured in outlets like Forbes magazine for her work customizing stripper heels and in other media as a business badass for combining performance, design, and entrepreneurship. Natalya runs Studio Nightshade out of Tampa, Florida. And I'm so excited to be talking to you, Natalya. You've done everything.
Yeah, not quite everything, but yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot. Definitely have. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I am such a longtime fan of your
Oh.
glitter heels. I've bought so many of them for over the
Yeah,
years.
I remember. I remember. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm so curious to hear a little bit about kind of like your origin with the whole studio world. Like, you have this 17-year background in dance. What
Mhm.
got you really interested in pole dancing?
So I've always loved dance. I started stripping long before I ever found like pole dance like in the studio.
Yeah.
Started stripping because I needed money. Didn't know that like the pole world existed at all, didn't know about it for years. Had a friend in California that pole danced. So I would see her post on Facebook, and this was like probably back in like the mid 2010s and always thought it was really cool. Went to New York because my life was in fucking shambles. So I like went on a solo trip to New York. I was like, I need to figure some shit out. I saw a like Baroque burlesque show there. They're called Company XIV. Changed my literal life.
Oh, I love
And
them.
I am obsessed. They're the reason I pole danced. And there was a woman singing opera and pole dancing in like this incredible, opulent costume. And it was the first time that I had ever seen pole dance as performance art. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is the thing that I need to
Yeah.
do. And came back to Tampa, immediately signed up for a pole class. That was 2015. I think I
Mhm.
took like 3 classes in my first week, never looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
describes so many of us. Like, I touched a pole and this is it. This is what I'm born to do.
Yes, you were possessed.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I used to think like everybody in the world finds their thing in that way. And
Hmm.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think we're really
Hmm.
lucky that we like this thing, like it's
Yeah.
weird and it calls to us and it's like a
Yes.
siren song and we can't say no.
Yeah, it really does. I feel like for some people, it feel like a possession. Like
Yeah.
it, like you touch it and you just catch the energy and you know that it's gonna be like this thing that's in your life forever.
So you fell in love with pole. You went to New York. It's 2015. You start taking classes, still relatively new. I started taking classes in like 2010, and like it was like a tiny basement at the bottom of a Gold's Gym.
Oh.
And it wasn't until years later that the owner like got her own space. Um, can you take us back to like the very first version of Nightshade? Was it an idea of a studio? Was it your custom heels? Was it your stage persona? Like, how did you go from, I'm so excited to take pole dance class recreationally to this is like who I am?
So Natalia is not my birth name. My legal name is something that I've like never identified with. So Natalia has always felt like my name. And so that was like my name when I worked in the club. And then so when I started pole, I think it was probably maybe a year or so in that I created a pole Instagram, mostly because, people get weird. And I was like, I am not dealing with people's bullshit. I am going to just make this pole persona so that way
Yeah.
nobody can find me. So that was really what created the whole like Natalia Nightshade persona. Um, Nightshade came about because it to me like sounded like a slutty supervillain, and that's really like my aura.
I feel that from you.
Like, yes, yeah. I was like, that
It's
is
like,
my aura, like the
yeah,
poisonous flower, it just
like
fits.
I actually have the opposite. When I was a call girl in my early 20s, I went by Candy. And I can't tell you how many times people were like, "You're not a Candy. What's
Hmm.
is your name Amy?" Like I was such an Amy that like
Yeah,
people would like guess my name.
yeah.
Um, that makes a lot of sense. And you have this like very like varied and diverse background of movement practices coming from ballet, which is so like strict, and dancing in a club, which is performative in a different way than
Yes.
performance for yourself is in the studio. Or
Hmm.
how did ballet shape who you are as a dancer? How did working in the club shape who you are as a performer?
Gosh, I'm so grateful for all of those pieces because I think they all come together in really interesting, valuable ways. So I didn't start ballet until I was an adult.
Okay.
We did not like grow up with money. We did not have dance class money as a kid. But I always wanted to take dance classes. So I actually probably started stripping and taking ballet classes around a similar time period. But ballet has really influenced my movement as far as like the work ethic and the repetition and stripping obviously is such a different world from ballet. Um, but that is the stage presence, right? Is like showing up
Mm-hmm.
and connecting with an audience and pulling them in.
Yeah, totally.
Dance for me, except in the scope of the club,
Mm-hmm.
dance for me has always been like a very internal practice,
Okay.
because it just like it feeds me. So my very first competition, the judges told me like, oh, make sure you like look at the judges, give eye contact, whatever. Because I didn't do that at all because I was like, bitch, this is for me. What do you
Right.
mean? But when I got that feedback, I was like, oh, okay. And then immediately I was like, okay, I can pull in that like strip club experience of
Mm-hmm.
pulling people in. And so kind of being able to merge those worlds of like still letting it be for me, but taking those skills of like inviting you in to these moments.
So, how did that move from competition, performance to I want to start a business? Did the custom heels come first, or the studio come first, or what was that entrepreneur journey like for you?
The heels business was strangely kind of a means to an end for me, which
Okay.
sounds weird. So I've always been artistic. I've always worked in creative fields. When I found pole, I was actually in the interior design world. And I was like, I can't pole dance as much as I want to pole dance.
Yeah.
So I left interior design. I took like a 9 to 5 office job, the first one ever in my life, so I could pole dance more.
Oh
Like
my
that's how obsessed I was. Um, and so I took this office job, immediately hated it. I was happy that I could dance as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
But maybe 6 months into the office job, I was like, ah, bitch, I gotta find an exit plan.
Yeah.
I had an old pair of heels that were just like so beat up and shitty. And I got this random idea to just glitter them,
Hmm.
to zhuzh them up, wore them to the studio one day, and everybody was like, oh my God, those are so cute. Those are so cute. And I was like,
Oh.
yeah, the light bulb went off. And I was like, immediately, yes, I can
Yeah.
do this. I started the business, got everything up and running, and it really just like took off. It was insane. Within 6 months, I had left my full-time office job and was doing the shoe business full time.
Wow. And
Yeah,
did
it
you
was
lose
crazy.
an equivalent amount of money running the heels business or more?
So by the time I left, I was making about an equivalent amount of money in
Mhm.
that first 6 months.
Then how did you scale that business? Did you hire other people? Was it you full time filling orders, making the heels, doing the designs? What was that business progression like for the heels business?
So for the next year,
Hmm.
it was just me. Um, and honestly, I should have hired somebody sooner. From the 6 month point to the year and 6 month point, I worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it was crazy.
When did you dance? You have to sleep?
There was very little dancing in that first year. I would wake up at like 4 a.m., start working. If I could squeeze in a dance class, I would. And then I'd come home and then work until like 11 p.m. I mean, I was ordering all the shoes, I was handling all the shipping, I was handling customer service, I was making the shoes, I was boxing things up. And so I was downstairs in my garage where I was doing all the shipping and I had all the packing materials. And I had a box in front of me and I could not remember how to pack a box.
Oh my gosh, it just
Yeah.
was like
Yeah,
error.
yes. Yeah, 404, you're fucked. Yeah, and it was that day that I was like, I need to hire somebody. Like, this is not
Mhm.
sustainable. I hired somebody, and thank God, her name is Mariana. She still to this day, like, doesn't work for me as much now as she used to, but she still works for me with like small things here and there. So yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
saved my life.
My theory is that the excitement of starting your own thing and growing
Yeah.
your own thing is like its own kind of fuel. And so it
Hmm.
just kind of like carries you, and you're like, 4 a.m., who cares? I'm building my own thing. You kind of don't care because the business has its own energy, and that like
Yeah.
does last a long time until it
Hmm.
doesn't. And
Yeah.
so, why did Mariana not come into the picture earlier, I
Yeah.
guess?
Well, it's fun, it's creative. I have ADHD and shitty impulse control. And I was having a good time and I think so and I'm sure this is a function of ADHD, but the adrenaline of like being on the razor's edge of like everything just like falling apart is my crack.
I agree.
So I think that that is what kept me going because I was like, oh my God, I'm having a blast. My nervous system is an absolute wreck, but so much fun.
No, I really relate to that. I worked in tech. After I graduated from law school, I worked in tech for like 4 years. And I had very quickly like developed this pattern of like being the ninth hire at a tech startup that was new and scrappy. And I loved the word scrappy because I knew it just meant like the business was going to be a disaster, like a
Yeah.
total mess, but they'd have a lot of money to like
Mm.
figure it out. And I would always quit like at the 1 year mark after like the first year of stock vested. Partially because by year one, after I'd like fixed shit and like put systems in, it wasn't a mess anymore and it wasn't as
Yeah.
exciting. It was like
Hmm.
too easy almost. I needed another
Yes.
mess. And
Yes.
so this feels like very relatable. I think it's like an
Yes.
entrepreneur personality.
Absolutely. Yeah, prior to finding pole, like I tend to have like a 3 year wall with everything, very
Hmm.
much the same as like year 1 year. I would hit 3 years, and then I'd be like, well, figured it out.
Yeah.
Bored
Done.
now, what's next? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you built this business, it kept growing. You're working 16-hour days. You hire a Mariana. She's amazing. You get a little
Mhm.
bit of breathing room. And then what happened? Is that business still ongoing? Or are you full in the pole studio?
Yeah, fully in the pole studio. So I want to say I closed Nightshade Designs at the like 5.5 year point. Again, you kind of get to the point where it's just like, okay,
Mhm.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a new challenge. And I want to say at maybe the 2.5 year point is when Forbes reached out to do the article.
Oh,
And yeah, and so that was really cool. But I was like, well, most pole dancers don't read Forbes. This isn't going to do anything. Like, it's a
Yeah.
cool little feather in the cap when, like, there's some
Mhm.
typically male asshole that's like, oh, you make stripper shoes for a living. And it's just
Yeah,
like, well,
totally.
I have been in Forbes, you
And I
piece of
do.
shit. What have you done?
Exactly.
But around the same time, Business Insider reached out.
Hmm.
And that I ignored in my inbox for 6 months because,
That's
yeah,
wild.
I love to dance. I love to make my shoes,
Hmm.
but like I didn't want to be the face of the shoe business. I wanted to be like the person just like making the shoes in the background. Like I don't want anybody to know who I am. I was like, "Oh, I don't want this like scale of attention." And so I
Hmm.
sat on it, and then I was like, from a business growth perspective, I am dumb if I don't do this.
Yeah.
Because I know it'll be great for the business.
Yeah.
And so I came back to them and I did the videos, and it was great for the business. Do I have regrets from a personal standpoint? Yes, the business grew a lot. But wow, the amount of like hate and vitriol that I got from
Hmm.
people just from like from
Wow.
within the pole community. Like there were like emails, DMs, like, and people like even like bigger. And at that point, I hadn't been pole dancing for that long.
Yeah.
And like even like bigger name pole dancers, like reaching out to me to like try to get those connections, like, oh, can you connect me with so and so? And then I'm like,
Oh,
I don't have any connections. They just reached out to me, and then them
mhm.
treating me like shit for not giving them those
Oh no,
connections.
that's such a bummer.
Yeah. At one point, I think around like maybe the 4 year point, I was talking to my therapist about the business and where I wanted to take it. And she asked me, and thank God she did.
Yeah.
She was like, what do you want for the business? And I was like, well, I guess just keep growing it.
Yeah.
Because when that's the narrative. Any sort of shrinking is failure,
Yeah.
right? And she was just like, but is that really what you want?
It's a great
And I
question.
had really never stopped to ask myself that,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and when she asked me that, I was like,
Oh wow.
no. I was like,
That's a
no.
scary moment though, when you go no, because then it means, but who am I? What does that mean about who I am? And
Yeah.
what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. Because I
scary,
was
but
like, I don't want to like have this shoe empire keep growing. I'm not honestly like a big money motivated person. I'd
nice.
rather have time to chill.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
rather have
And
time to
time to
dance
dance
and yeah.
and perform.
Hmm.
So, did you end up selling that business? I mean, it has your name on it, or did
Yeah.
you just close it and you're like, this is the end of the chapter?
I closed it.
Okay.
I never even considered selling it. Honestly, I can't
Oh.
do it. I'm too much of a control freak. I could never give anybody anything with my name on it. Absolutely not.
That's very fair.
Yeah, no, couldn't do it.
So then, was there a gap period where you just kind of like explored what is in the world, where you just danced and you weren't running shit? Or did you go, okay, I'm closing this so that I can open the studio? What was that transitional period like?
Obviously, a studio is an investment, and I
Mhm.
am a very like financial risk averse person.
Mhm.
Um, but the shoe business was doing so well. At that point, I decided that I was going to open the studio. I found the space and I was like, fuck, I guess I have to do
Finding
this.
a space is one of the hardest parts. So if you find a bad
Yeah,
space, like
I
sometimes
I
that's what
know.
the are telling you.
Yeah, I found the space and I was like, I'm an idiot if I don't take it. It was too perfect. So opened the studio. And the studio, I mean, obviously, I still had the like business loans or whatever to pay off, but the
Mhm.
studio itself was profitable in the first month.
Oh my God, that's huge. That doesn't
Yeah,
happen ever.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was like, fuck it, I'm closing the shoe
Yeah.
business.
Okay. We're time to go, baby.
Yes, yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's really smart. I think a lot of times I hear people say things like, oh, well, I just need to quit my job so I have space to build the new thing. And I
yeah.
think that this is a much more common way of doing it. Like, it wasn't until 6 months after I'd started San Francisco Pole and Dance where I was like, oh, this is working. Like, I can afford to
Yeah.
leave my job. And
Hmm.
I wasn't crossing my fingers going, I hope I can afford to leave my job. And
Dude,
that felt very, like, it was hard. It was a lot of fucking
yeah.
work, but it
Yeah.
was also like, it made me feel safe. I mean, I had like
Yes.
$4,000 a month law school loan payment, rent in San Francisco, all the
Hmm.
things. And like not doing both at the same time or taking that risk wasn't really an option for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, in my opinion, it's far better to work your absolute ass off
Hmm.
for like the mental and emotional safety
Totally.
that you feel
Yeah,
than to bail on the safety, because
totally.
when you don't have that financial and emotional safety, it leads you to a place of uh, panic and desperation, which can then lead you
Desperation.
to making really bad decisions.
When you opened your studio, what were the non-negotiables for you about how it had to look and feel? How did you create this like magic, as you call it, like dark garden at midnight? It's such an
Hmm.
evocative phrase. How did
Hmm.
you get to that as a core part of your brand? But it sounds like that was already like coming in from what you'd already built.
So, with the background in interior design, and I also am one of those people that like has no, I think in pictures,
Oh,
no thoughts in the brain, only picture. I feel like ideas come to me almost fully formed, and
yeah.
then I just have to figure out how to get the thoughts out of my brain and into the world. I always
Yes.
knew what I kind of wanted it to be, and so when I had the opportunity to make a space, it was like already there.
Glitter floors.
Yeah.
Must
Yes.
exist.
Yeah. Yeah. The glitter floors. Ooh, that was an adventure.
I couldn't, was that like a DIY thing or did you hire a
Hmm.
company? Oh my
Oh yeah, it was
God.
a DIY. Yeah, pretty much everything in the space was DIY mostly.
It's really interesting to me that you say that ideas come to you fully formed. I think that maybe that is because you have this diverse tapestry of backgrounds, the interior design
Hmm.
background. Of course, you were able to like see the space and like
Hmm.
envision the space. And like,
Yeah.
Nightshade was already built into the brand of the custom heels business. And so you kind of been like thinking and iterating on that for some time. So, like, of
Yeah.
course, it came to the space fully formed. Like, you'd already been building it in something that was like same, but different. Are there any brand decisions or choices you made that like confused people at first, but you stuck with them because they felt true to you?
I mean, I'm sure there might be things that I've done that have confused people. Um, and maybe this is just like, maybe I'm a little bit of an asshole, but I don't consider people much in my decisions.
Yeah, I love
Like,
that.
I feel like the best thing that I can do is stay true to whatever it is that I
Mhm.
find value in and be as loud about it as possible, and then
Yeah.
just attract the right people to me. And I told my husband from the start of opening this studio, I would rather the studio fail than for me to have to run a business that isn't something that I love.
Yeah.
For me to have to
Yeah.
compromise on what's important for me. I'd rather just shut the shit down.
I really agree. I think that the pole business is not the way that you're going to get rich. So if you're
Hmm.
in it
Right.
for the money, like pick another business.
Hmm.
But not that you can't make money in pole. I actually think it's really harmful, this idea that like a pole studio is only like a labor of love, and like
I
basically the
hate that
studio owner
narrative.
should be crushed in the
Hmm.
process of like holding their
Yeah.
community up. Like, I believe that there is money that you can make a fine enough
Hmm.
margin in the pole studio business, but it's not going to be the way that you like make your first
Yeah.
million.
Yeah. You're not going to be a multimillionaire.
Right. I'm curious about your relationship with your husband. Whenever somebody in a relationship starts building a business, it is I joke that it's like having a child. It's like you're birthing something into the world, and there are many instances where studio owners are making $0 or very little money, and their partner is the one who has like the 401k job and like
Yeah.
the health insurance.
Hmm.
What was that conversation with your partner like when you decided, like, I really want to build this? And what considerations did you guys talk through?
Yeah. Um, so I think I was in a little bit of a unique position because I had already had the shoe business. I had jobs before, so I, had had the health insurance, whatever, and then started the shoe business. And I am a very stubborn, prideful, I don't know, person. But even with the shoe business, I was like, I do not want your money. I do not want your help. You're not allowed to help me with anything. And then with the studio business, it was the same. Like he helped me a lot with, God bless him, build out and
Oh,
lighting and all of that stuff. Yeah. And he's been so helpful and so supportive. I am on his health insurance now. So
good for
I did
it.
let him get something. But
That's a
but
lot.
yes. Yeah, but same thing with the studio. I was like, I'm not going to take your money for, anything because I just wanted to be able to say that it was my own. I wanted to be able to succeed on my own. I wanted to fail on my own.
Yeah, I'm really interested in hearing a little bit about your values, the identity of Studio Nightshade. You've talked about being a Black owned studio in a city where pole spaces don't reflect the diversity of
Hmm.
Tampa or the area that you guys are in. How does that show up in your day to day decisions?
From the get-go of opening the studio, people ask you, "Oh, are you going to open a studio? Are you going to?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, never. Absolutely not, never." And then, as I'm sure we all remember, the reckoning that came the summer that George Floyd was murdered, and
Yeah.
all of the reckoning that that caused within the industry. And, that really opened my eyes to a lot, both overall and here locally.
Mm,
And I was like, I just feel like there's not a place where I can feel like emotionally safe and seen in like the fullness of like the reality of life. And so it was at that point where I was just like, I think I have to do this.
yeah.
Um, and so I had talked to a business coach, and it was in that conversation that I decided not to open the studio, at least at that point, because I was like, I want to do this. I know why I want to do this, but I want to make sure that it's not reactionary,
Mhm.
that it's not coming from like a place of like hurt or anger or upset.
That's
Um,
so emotionally intelligent. Wow.
Yeah. And so I sat on it for maybe 2.5 years.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was like, and it just a little tiny boop in my brain. And I was like, maybe I might be interested.
Yeah.
Opened up my laptop, looked at it, and this was the first space that I saw,
That's
and
awesome.
it had just came available like the prior day. It's in a like more diverse area of town. There were some parts of town that like I knew I didn't want to be in because I knew the demographic of the area, and I was like, okay, well, if I open in this area, I know the demo of the student. And then also at that time before I opened, you'd see the instructors would be like all white. You'd have like the one
Mhm.
token, instructor, and that would be it. And so my hiring decisions, played a big role in like, because, students see that
Mhm.
that's the face of the studio. And then also just in the website, at the messaging and the verbiage, and just being again loud about what you're about, even though
Yeah.
sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's like, oh, she's fucking on it again. It's like
Yeah.
I, and it's like, I get it, but it's like, if it is annoying to you, you're not the demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
like, I need to keep speaking about this because the people that need it need to hear it, because they need to know that like there's a space for
Yeah.
them.
I'm just looking at your guys' Instagram headers, and it says pole dance classes, pole parties, private lessons, dance school, house of self worship, putting the dance in pole dance, proudly BIPOC owned. And I really appreciate this next part, which seems logistical, but I think tells me a lot about your culture, which is no walk ins, appointment only. Like, I need you to have decided we're not just like coming in off the street for this. And
Yes.
there's an intentionality that you're like almost like demanding of your student base or requiring upfront. Like, you need to
Hmm.
have gone to the website, learned what we are about, like signed up for the class, and then you can come. But you're not just
Hmm.
like it's casually like sauntering in
Yeah.
off the street. And I think that
Yeah.
that probably like creates a level of respect and understanding about who your brand is or what your brand is before
Hmm.
people even enter your doors. That seems
Yeah.
like a really smart business decision.
I'm also just a little bit, I'm very protective. Well,
Mhm.
we might call it hyper vigilant, but like, but like when people come to the door, I'll pop my head out the door and talk to them.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't even typically let them in.
You wait out here.
Yeah, like
I'll come to you.
I will give you information, but I just feel like, people get weird about pole dance,
Yeah.
and I keep the door locked all the time because,
Hmm.
and it's happened at other studios, it's happened here before if somebody forgets to lock the door, where somebody will just open the door, walk right into the dance space, and we have curtains covering the dance space, and somebody will just
Happened at
barge
a lot
right
of our
in.
studios. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's like I have a stun gun at the studio. I will
We
fucking
do too.
tase you. Like I will.
We have stun guns. We charge them every 30 days. It's part of onboarding to learn how to use it. And
Yeah.
that's, and by being a pole studio, you're already saying like something to people that they may misunderstand and like
Yes.
think like, oh, I'm going to come in and like watch, or I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is, I feel very similarly. We recently had a situation where we were posting on Instagram about like our studio values and our studio culture. And I think we said imperfectly what you're saying right now, which is like we protect our space. And the way that we said that was we protect our space and we protect the like the sanctity of this community, and we will fire customers if they are not aligned with our values. And I think we said we fire customers who are high maintenance, which high maintenance is in itself like quite a loaded word. And we got that feedback that it was loaded, and changed it to like you comply with our code of conduct. But that code of conduct is prominently displayed in every studio because what we
Yes.
think is common sense is not always followed. And we're so embedded in pole culture that we forget other people's mindset outside of it is quite different. You've mentioned not wanting to be trapped in like a perfect, always positive business persona. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think talking about the mess that is running a business, any business, but
Yeah.
running a pole studio that is so personal to so many people, it can't be perfect all the time, and that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be real to say that it is. How did you like develop your voice as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, or has it always just been part of you? It feels very easy.
Um, Therapy.
So
There,
important for every
there,
entrepreneur.
therapy. Um, yeah, honestly, I think that uh, not to get too deep, but coming from like a traumatic childhood where, you're not really like allowed to have a voice, to finding like reclamation of your voice is huge. I very much grew up feeling like I was valued for my looks and little else,
Oh, interesting.
and like, how they say like you have your like your villain origin moment. I
Yeah.
was at, let's take it way back. I was at Christmas with my family one year, and we were playing this game, and I can't remember what the game was, but like you pull cards and then you like pick the family member that relates to each card. And the cards
Oh,
were like the face, the voice, the mind, the whatever.
oh,
And
this
for
is such
me,
a dangerous game.
like who I was like, well, obviously I'm the voice. I have all these thoughts and ideas and whatever. And
Valid.
yeah, and everybody chose me as the face. And
No.
and I was like, I'm about to burn it down. I'm about to burn this bitch down. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that just stuck in my brain and in my soul.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
You're like, I will always be more than a face.
yeah, and it's like no one will ever be able to shut me up.
I love it.
And unfortunately for many people, that has become true. Hmm.
I love that. If you could go back to day one, you're starting Nightshade's business, and you could whisper one sentence to yourself or whisper something to yourself that would have made the journey easier, what would you say? I think mine would be something like the internet is not real life.
That's
Because the human connection in real life is like what wakes me up in the morning. The community aspect is what makes me so
yeah,
excited, and I assume you too.
yeah,
And there's something about that that gets lost in the internet where people can be
yeah,
quite abrasive, and
yeah,
that part feels
yeah,
important all the time.
yeah. I would say, honestly, yeah, I would probably tell myself, like, don't let anybody beat you down.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
don't take any of it to heart. And in all fairness, I don't think I did, but you know what I would say? What is that movie? Water Off a Duck's Back. Wasn't that a Sandra Bullock movie? That's what I would say to myself. Water off a duck's back. Water off a duck's back.
wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know the
where
reference.
when people like try to bring you bullshit, where it's just like water off a duck's back. It doesn't stick. It just rolls right off.
I love that. Yeah, water off a
Hmm.
duck's back. Also, like, have you done the thing that I'm doing? If no, like, please see the exit stage left because you have no idea what
Yes.
you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Fuck off immediately.
I would love to ask you one more question, which
Hmm.
is if you could give advice to anybody who is thinking about starting a studio or recently started a pole dance studio, what would your advice be to them?
Buy a calculator.
Oh
Fucking
my gosh,
shit.
you are going to use a calculator. This is so true.
If you're getting ready to open up a studio, like get yourself a calculator and an Excel spreadsheet and find out what you actually need to charge to be profitable. Because it is shocking to me how many people just be like, yeah, that sounds right, and just pull numbers out of their asses.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Natalia, this has been so much fun. You are such a pleasure to talk to, and you
Well,
are
thank you
such
so
a
much for
force
having me.
in the pole community. Thank you for coming on, and I hope we can do it again. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved this. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.